We continue on Talk Radio 910, WLTP, and I am talking to Sheila Weber. She's Executive Director of National Marriage Week USA, and you can actually go to nationalmarriageweekusa.org. And just ahead of Valentine's Day, this is actually going on. Talk about this. Why is this such an important, especially in a day and age when people say, well, now, 50% of plus of couples divorce. Some people actually just decided to live together. So talk about the importance of strengthening marriage.
Well, marriage brings better health and greater financial stability. Children that are raised with both parents perform far better in school and have less trouble with the law, less teen pregnancy, less issues with addiction. The research shows that marriage is incredibly beneficial. It pays. It really pays. And we have to get the word out to people that marriage is a good thing. And so National Marriage Week USA is part of an international Marriage Week movement that's been going on for about a decade in 12 countries. We're relatively new, and we have built a huge clearinghouse right now of classes all across the country this week to help people strengthen their marriage.
What do you think is the biggest issue that comes up that causes marriages to not be as strong as they should be?
Well, it's very complex, and I think there are many, many different issues, but generally what we're seeing in this day and age is really just a lack of commitment to the institution of marriage and not understanding how important marriage is for your personal happiness and your personal economic well-being, and also for our country as a whole. In 1970, 79% of all adults in America were married. Today, that's dropped down to 57%. So we're seeing a kind of a reduced practice and value of marriage, but we have to be very concerned because taxpayers are spending at least $112 billion a year for divorce and unwed childbearing. There's some indications that it's actually above $200 billion a year. So in this day and age of our concerns about deficits and the economic devastation, we have to take a new look at marriage as a valuable social institution that builds the stability of our nation. Another concern is that 40% of all American babies today are born outside of marriage. That would have been an unheard of figure decades ago. It's a shocking figure. And so
well, they're just children. They're furniture. When you're in a divorce, you just move them around and trade them back and forth in parking lots and things. So it's just children. It seems like when you're talking, unfortunately, when as you see them portrayed on TV, or if you unfortunately see how some couples are when they are getting divorced.
Well, but we're raising those children without a model for how they can then build their family and how they can have a great, healthy relationship for lifelong, lasting love, which is ultimately what everybody wants. I mean, the truth is everybody really does want lifelong, lasting love. And, marriage is the vehicle for that level of commitment. And we just want to get the message out that it is in the commitment to stay married that makes people actually improve themselves, work on their own marriages. Most people don't know where to go to get help. And so they just kind of give up. They have a consumer mindset toward it. If you're not meeting my needs, I'm out of here. So we have built resources for people to go get the help they need, or you might want to reach out to some other folks that you know are struggling, somebody in your family or your friends. At National Marriage Week USA, we've just got lots and lots of resources for people, especially if they just don't know where to turn. And that's what we want people to know, that there are lots of ways they can get help. This weekend, leading up to Valentine's Day, we have literally listed hundreds and hundreds of classes, conferences, and events all around the country. Folks can go in and plug in their state and see a whole list of things that are happening throughout their state and may very well be accessible to them.
Do you think that people don't realize that, as you talked about the example, but people say, well, I just don't understand why kids aren't committed to their sport, to their school. There's just a lack of commitment. And they don't realize that, well, mom and dad aren't committed anymore. They're not committed to each other because they saw it as not as a lifelong commitment. And so, as you said, they don't see that example that when you commit to something, that's what you do, and you stay in it, and you work at it, and you make sure that it stays that way. Some people are, well, I just don't know why. Well, the kids only know what they see and what they experience.
That's a great point. We live in a distracted culture. We are all distracted, and children especially are growing up with distractions that, earlier generations had no even imagination for, the level of distractions that exist. And so, that lack of commitment, pulls itself into things like marriage and the marriage relationship and family relationships.
Recently, my kids are in an online school, and when and now it used to say parents, then it said guardians, and now it just says caretakers on the line when you list who's taking. We've gotten to the point where now children are being kept by caretakers. Something doesn't sound right. Something sounds like your marriage strengthening campaign needs to definitely spread across the country.
Well, we have to be very concerned about that because our prisons are overstuffed, and really there is all kinds of social science research that shows that that the prisons are filled with generally people who have not had fathers at home. And so, without the presence of the father figure in their lives, there's all kinds of research that shows that boys particularly are going to have more trouble with the law. There's another study that showed that when a girl has her father leave before the age of 6, her chances of getting into teenage pregnancy jump from 5% up to 35%. So girls also get their identity from watching the mother and the father and providing that stability for them. So we've got all kinds of social issues of, our prison population and teenage pregnancy that is related to whether or not children grow up with both a mother and a father.
So it's not just the two people are isolated. Well, if we get divorced, we'll work on fixing the kids and we'll make it work. It doesn't work that way. Sheila Weber, Executive Director of the National Marriage Week USA. You go to nationalmarriageweekusa.org. Thank you very much for your time. I know you have to go on to your next interview, but an important topic, especially coming up to Valentine's Day, that, the giving the gifts and all that's not just I love you for 10 minutes and then we're not doing that anymore because it's inconvenient. So
we also have really fun tools for Valentine's Day at our website, a couples checkup and a great date night idea.